Hello, everyone. My name is John Richardson, and I'm joined today by Diana Colleen, who is the author of The Could Be Saviours, which is an award-winning book about the fate of billionaires, really. So, welcome, Diana. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about our conversation.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, I'm excited too. So, right, tell us a little bit about yourself, Diana, and tell us a little bit about your book.
Sure. I am a Canadian author living in the United States, which has a lot of its own problems right now.
Yeah.
And and I get asked all the time by my Canadian friends, why are you still there? So,
hmm
but
It's a valid question, I've got to
it,
say.
it is a valid question. Um, yeah, I started my writing about 4 years ago. I was in a job that I was really unhappy in, and this idea for this
Mhm.
book kept knocking at my brain. And my husband was like, it's okay if you quit your job and write this book. We can manage that. So I did.
Wow.
That was a
Mm.
massive leap of faith. Yeah, so I quit my full-time job and I sat at my desk at home for, 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, writing. And now my book is birthed into the world. It came out officially yesterday,
Birth.
and it's a
Did it
number one.
really? Oh my God, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. That's number one in Canadian literature right now. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. And it's award winning, you
it
know?
is, yeah.
So that's excellent. Wow. Diana, congratulations. You really deserve that. Hang on, I've got an applause here. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, brilliant. So the book then, if it's
Mhm.
number one, right, and it's award winning, right, you've got to tell us what it's about.
So it's near future speculative fiction. And obviously, with speculative fiction,
Mm.
there's a what if question. So the what if is,
Yeah.
what if the only way to save the planet is to kidnap the billionaires, destroying it? So that's what it's about. We're kidnapping billionaires, we're forcing them into psychedelic assisted therapy, and we're forcing them to
Oh,
collaborate together so that they will solve the climate crisis.
right. Excellent. So, what made you think of that then? What made you think of that idea?
Um, a few things. So
hmm
I've had a very traumatic life. And in 2018, I was suicidal. And I was
Oh,
very, very fortunate to find an underground psychedelic assisted therapist who I believe saved my life. And since then, I have become a psychedelic facilitator myself. So I understand what this type of therapy can do. And I understand how to write about it authentically. So that's where the
hmm
psychedelic part came from. The the billionaire part, um, a lot of things, like I grew up in poverty, so I
hmm
understand firsthand inequality and what that means to somebody. And obviously living in this world right now and seeing, one person having
mm.
more wealth than 5 billion people combined, it's just wrong. So
It's
I want to
obscene.
change.
Yeah,
It is. It is. It's immoral.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would even go as far to say as evil, actually. I can't really say with any less gravitas than the fact that being a billionaire is probably tantamount to a badge of evil, because
So
you just don't need that amount of money.
right. I used to believe that billionaires are evil. So when I started
hmm
writing the book, I was firmly in the camp of billionaires are
Mm.
villains. And I think that there are two main camps. There's the billionaires are villains, and then the billionaires are heroes. Like we should look up to them. They're doing all these amazing things. But when I started
Yeah.
writing the book, um, I was in their perspective, which made me realize that I think there's a difference between immoral and evil. And if we label them as
Mm,
evil, it makes them inhuman and it makes them incapable of changing. But if we're looking at them as human and immoral, we can treat them. They have a mental illness that can be treated. They can become moral human beings. So that's what I
right.
want to, yeah. I want us to change the narrative around billionaireism from
Hmm.
success to these people are mentally ill.
Right. Yeah. That sounds good to me. So you're talking about. I mean, you've obviously changed the names to protect the innocent of these billionaires, but the world itself that you've created. I mean, you mentioned earlier to me, and I think also in the preface to your book or whatever, but it's almost like exactly this world. It is this world, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely
Mm,
like it's near future because there's technology in the book that doesn't exist right now. But that's
right.
really the only difference. Like, I truly believe we're living in a dystopian nightmare right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. I
it,
mean,
it,
yeah, just look
look
around.
around. Yeah, look around. I just can't
Yeah,
believe that people will literally look around, as we've just said, right, and think, yeah, this is fine. This is good. This is fine. Because it's just hideous, isn't it?
it's not fine. And as
Yeah.
far as like the climate crisis goes, we were talking earlier about how
Mm,
like things have just become normalized. Like the heat wave in Australia last week, they got up to 47 degrees, and people are like,
47.
oh, it's yeah, like animals are
It's,
dying en masse, and
yeah.
we just normalize it like, oh, it's a heat wave. No, that is
Yeah.
climate change. It's not a heat wave, it's climate change. And every time there are news stories about, like I live in Washington State, we had a massive flooding event in December. And okay, we're talking
Yeah.
about it as a flooding event. We're not talking about it as this is climate change. It's happening now.
Yeah.
So the book
Exactly.
is, yeah, so the book is basically our world right now, but sea levels are rising a little bit more in the book, but it's exactly our world right now with new technology that doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. With the newer technologies, which we'll come on to a bit later,
Yeah.
but I just want to talk about the climate change aspect because you touched on a point there is like, I think what the saying is, it's boiling frogs, isn't it?
Yes.
We are a whole bunch of boiling frogs because everything is changing around us. Things are getting hotter, if you like. I mean, some places will
Hmm.
be getting colder, but that's just the nature of climate change
Right.
because it's not about, you know, trying to explain to people that climate change is the whole of the climate changing and not just warming up in one area or cooling down in another. It's the whole
Right.
globe changing and all of the weather patterns and all of the extreme events and everything else. And people just, I don't know, some people just don't seem to get that, perhaps
They don't.
deliberately
Yeah.
because they perhaps, I think intellectually they do understand, but I think there's something that's preventing them from accepting that,
Well,
because if they accept that,
they
then
have
what
to
are they going to
change
do?
their behaviors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That,
So
yeah.
I think that is one aspect of it, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
I live in the west of Scotland. There's a place called Kintyre, and this is going to sound very rude, but it looks like a flaccid penis coming out of Scotland, right? And it is actually used by the British Board of Film Censors to measure the angle of an erect penis. So if the angle is more than the Kintyre Peninsula, right, then it's classed as erect, and they've got to have that X-rated or 18 or whatever in the film, right? But if it's below and is drooping down a bit more, then it's absolutely fine. So anyway, that's where I'm living. But the reason I say that is because it's a peninsula, and it is obviously very close to low down in the water, in the sea level aspect. So obviously it's at great risk of flooding. And
For sure.
we see it all the time now. You know, over the last, I don't know, I've been here 6 years, 7 years, and the flood events, as they would call them, are increasing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, when do you start to put two and two together? And, it never happened 20 years ago, or it didn't happen 30 years ago, or that road was always okay 50 years ago. Well, yeah, that road is
Right.
now half submerged. Yeah, so,
Right. Yeah.
when are you going to think about something like that,
Exactly.
But, yeah, your point, exactly. But I thought I'd go into a little diversion there. So to talk about Kintyre for some, I don't know, strange reason I do. But there we go. So your world is a facsimile. It's our world, really, with additional technologies.
Yeah.
So what technology did you introduce specifically to enable your story to progress? And tell us a bit about your story, by the way, because we haven't actually got there yet. So what is your story? So scrap that first question.
So the story is five billionaires who are abducted by a group of women, so very well-funded women, who are psychedelic assisted therapists, and those women give up their entire lives to go into this project. The original name of the book was The Dragon Project, because I think billionaires are dragons. But yes.
Well, Dragon's Den, stuff like that.
Yeah, they hoard wealth. So these women are living in this high-tech facility with the abducted men. They don't get to leave. None of the people get to leave until climate change is solved.
Solved.
So yeah. So the women are volunteers. The men don't want to be there.
Right. And these are all the billionaires.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So how do they get them there?
That's one of the technologies that doesn't exist yet, but I think we can all kind of imagine that it might exist in the somewhat near future. It's very Star Trek. I was a massive Star Trek fan growing up, so it's similar to the transporter. It's called the Emergex in my book. So yeah, it targets. It can move anything. So it can move individuals, it can move food. That's how the facility gets their supplies, is with the Emergex technology, but it's also how the billionaires are kidnapped. So they target the location of the billionaires and zap them over to the facility.
Yeah. I mean, that would have to happen, because you're not going to be able to kidnap all these billionaires without any form of assistance, I would imagine. I mean, otherwise you'll have to have tactical teams all over the world, try and abduct them, wouldn't you? And get past
which
their
isn't going to happen. Right.
No. So part of your world building was to create the technology to enable the initial abduction of these billionaires, so your story can start with as least pain as possible, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And there's other technology that conceals the facility that they're in, so that the facility is impossible to find once they're actually there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that would have been another blocker, wouldn't it? Because 5 billionaires missing, people are going to put search parties out.
That's right.
So you had to have some way of stopping that from easily happening.
Exactly.
So the technology came to save the day. So very good. Wow. So what's that called? Has it got a particular name, or?
That one doesn't have a name. No. No.
Right, like just a shield then, I guess.
Yeah, a shield. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the characters kind of skirt around how it actually functions. You know, like one of the characters is like, I'm not a scientist, so I don't understand how these things happen. So, you know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't, obviously, if I knew how these things worked, I could write about it, but I don't know how they work or they
So
would exist.
you've done a little bit of hand waving there to get that one in, I
Well,
think.
just a
So
little bit.
why not? You know, I mean, basically, Star Trek does it all the time. And I think
Right.
in a previous episode I was talking to Christian Hurst. He was another author, and he basically sort of said, "Oh well, Star Trek don't explain a lot. They do a lot of hand waving about how things work, and they do a little bit of techno babble to keep the nerds on side." And every now and
Right.
again, they pull the curtain back and explain a little bit more about it, and then put the
Yeah.
curtain back again. So
Yeah. I
I
said
think what
something
they
about
actually
gravity
do is,
waves.
yeah, very
Maybe,
good. Why not?
I don't
Why?
know.
Well, why not? I mean, basically, gravity waves. So yeah, that's Space 1999. You might not have heard of it, right?
Hmm.
But there was a moon base. It's called Moonbase Alpha. This Space 1999 was all about the moon being blasted out of orbit because the nuclear waste on the moon detonated.
Oh,
So the
wow.
moon base and the moon obviously were hurtling through space, but they had a defensive screen up, right? And they had gravity towers, they were called, right? And they're what had the shield in place. So from about 40 years ago, for that to happen, and then for it gravity, something gravity in yours, perfectly valid.
I think so.
Perfectly valid. So yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So when you've got these billionaires who are now locked up on this base. I'm just going to call it a base. I've got no
Sure.
idea
Yeah.
anything else. And also, I've got to admit to the listeners that I've read some of the book. Right, I haven't read the book completely all the way through, and I have also said to Diana, please don't give me any spoilers towards what's actually happening at the end, because I'm actually really liking reading the book. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I
Thank you for
appreciate
authoring
that
it.
so much.
So what is, can you tell me a little bit more about how they proposed to resolve climate change without giving too much away? Is that a possibility?
So it's really about the collaboration. Like
Mm-hmm.
in today's world, the billionaires are working at opposite ends of each other. They're not,
Mm.
like if they got together and actually worked to solve this problem, they could. In my opinion, we
Yeah.
have technology that exists today that could go so far in solving climate change, but it's not getting the funding, it's not getting the attention, and these billionaires are spending billions of dollars on space rockets. It's like,
Yeah.
how many space rockets do we need, for one? And number two, like, these rockets are, the emissions and all of the horrible things that they're doing to the environment to shoot something into space, rather than like using that money, time, and energy to fix this amazing planet. I don't understand their logic at all.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's about them working together to solve it.
So working together, forced collaboration,
Yes.
basically.
Yep.
That's what you're
Yep.
after.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this psychedelic treatment, then, how does that work? How does that work?
So that's where the kind of the moral ambiguity kind of comes in, right? So with psychedelic therapy, one of the major, we talk about set excuse me, set and setting. So set is
Mm-hmm.
mindset. And going into a psychedelic assisted therapy session, you have to be in the right mindset for the experience. And so having these billionaires being kidnapped and in forced captivity, how are they possibly going to have the right mindset to go into
Oh, that's a
this type of
good
therapy?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the probably the biggest challenge for me was to
Hmm.
sort that out. And one of the ways
Yeah.
was a little bit hand wavy as well. So there is another drug
Yeah.
that as soon as they arrive, they're getting like a microdose of a new drug that sort of keeps them compliant, so that they're not
Right.
acting out, and they're calm. So that helps
Calm.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they're
Right. So basically,
yeah.
they've got this micro drug that calms them down, and
Mhm.
that also puts them in the right set for the psychedelic treatment.
Yeah, yeah. And of course,
Yeah.
the longer they're in captivity, they realize they're not going to be saved, and that possibly the only way that they're going to get to go home is if they cooperate. So they do
Right.
cooperate and do the drug therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. I'm so tempted to ask how it all ends and everything else, but I'm not going to because that would just ruin it for people. So, what was the biggest challenge in writing this book? Maybe you had more than one challenge. Maybe you can just think of one straight away, and it's not necessarily your
Yeah.
biggest. But yeah,
A big,
what was
a
the
big
challenge?
challenge is writing about psychedelic experiences, because
Mm,
they defy words. For if you're trying to explain a psychedelic experience to somebody who's never had one, it's like ah, trying to find the words to describe what is happening in your brain is really hard.
mm,
And even people who have had psychedelic experiences, every single experience is different. And so
yeah,
being able to write an experience that the reader can like feel like they're in that experience and understand what that person is actually going through, that was really hard, but it was probably the most fun too.
oh, right, okay. Did you, by any chance, cast your mind back to previous experiences and draw from previous experiences in that?
Maybe. Definitely. Yes, for sure.
Definitely, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. So yeah, I mean, I must admit, on the record, just so you feel comfortable, I am sharing. I am oversharing probably, but basically, I took some LSD way back when I was like, I don't know, 22, 23, something like that. So long time ago, and basically, it
Okay.
was. I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't have much, right?
Okay.
But it didn't really, when people were describing that you sort of like got high and it was like you go on a trip and it's like everything's weird and I didn't really have that
Okay.
until I was in this club and I went to the toilets, right? And then the urinal just started breathing at me,
Like you
and I
wrote my
thought,
book.
oh no.
There's a bathroom scene.
Really? Is there? So basically the urinal started breathing at me and I just thought, oh, it's time to
Mhm.
go home. And I just thought I am just gonna concentrate on getting home. So I got the night bus. I mean the night bus, right, is a hideous ordeal when you're sober, right?
Ah,
On anything else, it's just an absolute nightmare. So I was thinking that I started getting paranoid actually. I started
oh,
thinking that
yeah.
people had knives on this bus,
Oh,
right?
no.
And I got off. I got off early. It was only a couple of stops early. And then I ran home. And in my bedroom, I'm definitely oversharing, so I do apologize. But uh, in my bedroom, I had a wardrobe at the end of my bed, and I used to work in hotels. So I had like a black jacket and white, you know, my black and white, so white shirt, black tie, all of that. I thought that was someone coming to get me. You know, I was convinced there was someone there, and there wasn't. Eventually, I fell asleep, and I was fine the next day. But
Right.
I just thought, oh God, that was my experience. So anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm going nowhere with that. But there
Definitely
we
have
go.
a bad trip. There are bad trips to be
Yeah.
had, but that's the difference between like a psychedelic experience for, you know, recreational use and psychedelic assisted
Yeah.
therapy. So
Right.
with a therapist,
Tell me
you
more
are
about
kept
that then.
safe.
Mm.
Yeah, so safety is like the number one thing. So the facilitator
Mhm.
keeps you safe, and if you happen to go off into a distressing trip, we're trained to be able to bring you back, and so that you're not spiraling into that scary place. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of the therapy.
Right. Okay. And how does that apply to these billionaires then?
In what way? What? Um, so that there are no bad trips in this book, other than, so one of the billionaires had a mushroom experience when he was in college, and the
Mhm.
bathroom the bathroom scene is
Mhm.
part of his experience when he
It's
was
obviously very
young.
common.
Looking in a mirror while you're under the
Mm.
influence of psychedelics is very common and scary. So
Yeah.
that's in his trip with that. So with the therapists, all of the trips are very meaningful. So it's not just
Mm.
random stuff happening to the billionaires like it would in a trip that, you know, you're just out with your friends, because that's when random stuff happens. But with a therapist, it's, you go in with intentions, you go in with the intention to work on issues in your life, issues about yourself, you know. So it's
Yeah.
guided, it's a guided experience, and you can still
Yeah.
have you know, things come up that are scary, but the facilitator is
Mm.
there to help you move through that and understand what's happening, so that you can integrate that learning into your life after the experience.
Right. Wow. That sounds very sensible, Diana. Very sensible. And I'm very pleased that the billionaires have had that applied to them. So that made them um, work together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without spoiling the end, they
Yeah.
they do end up working together and come up with a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
But it does leave it open
So
for another book.
I would imagine it would, yes. So you've got to do that. So in this group of women who got together and created this base and whatnot, how did that all come about? How did they get to do that?
Oh, see, that's a little bit of a spoiler. So
Oh, is it?
it,
Okay.
it it comes down to who funded the project. So who's funding
Mm.
these women and this project. So trying not to spoil it. The 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 main woman, Mel, sort of recruits all of the other women through over the course of several years, because obviously she
Mm.
has to vet every person who is part of this project to make sure that they're a good fit, that they understand they could be giving up their entire lives forever. So yeah, it took her several years to get this group together.
Right. Okay. All right. So, have you got anything more to add that I haven't asked yet? I mean, I normally go on about world building, but it's almost like it's this world, and the main challenge was to get the billionaires, which you've overcome with transporter technology. Then the next challenge would be where to keep them, and you've got the shield technology to to keep that. So that's pretty
Right.
watertight, really, isn't it, from a
Right.
plot level
Yeah.
perspective? Is there something else that I've missed that you could share on the world building thing?
On the world building? Not a lot. There's virtual reality technology, that's,
Hmm.
obviously we have some virtual reality now, but this is
Hmm.
way better. It's like
Yeah,
actually being
right.
there. You can feel the sand beneath your feet. You can dip your toes in the water and that kind of thing. And the VR technology, um, there's a couple of chapters that sort of aren't super relevant to the core of the story, but then the VR also comes into play in some of the psychedelic trips. So then the readers kind
Right.
of left wondering, was that because of the technology or was that because of the psychedelics?
The, right. Okay. And you're
Yeah.
deliberately leaving that open for them
Yes. Yeah.
to wonder. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
There's a
can't give
lot
them
that
all the
I
answers, Diana.
And that's what I hope, like I really wanted people to finish the book and have questions. There's a lot
Yeah.
of open-ended questions. It's a perfect book club read. There's a lot to
Wow.
discuss. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can you give me an example then?
Well, the big overarching theme is, does the end justify the means? So like,
Right.
and there's no real protagonist, there's no real antagonist, they're all good, they're all bad, you know everyone is just
Mm.
kind of a human, and we all have goodness and we all have badness. um
Yeah.
yeah,
Some more than others, though. I think we both agree. So,
definitely. Absolutely.
yeah. So, you talked about briefly some of the billionaires, and as you switched into their point of view, you started to understand that, perhaps they're not or shouldn't be viewed as just literally evil.
Right.
Is there a
Yeah.
particular character that affected you in one way more than the others? I mean, was there one character, as you were writing from their point of view, you thought, oh, this person's okay,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
just
I was really
could do with
surprised.
some guidance. So
Yeah.
is that
One
how it worked out? And which one was it?
It did, yeah. So Matt, he is the founder of a social media platform, um, and
Hmm.
I
Is that Matt Zuckerberg? or no, I know. Scratch that.
but he the his character just unfolded in such a way that I felt really bad for the guy. It was
Mm,
crazy to me that, like, I wanted to write these people as evil, and I wrote them as human, and I had
mm,
no intention of doing that. But,
mm.
yeah, he is a very human person, and you can understand kind of why he became who he is, and that he actually had good intentions to begin with, and it just sort of got out of control. So, yeah, I wasn't
Wow.
expecting that.
Wow, that is interesting, isn't it? Although I've got to admit, when you do write, sometimes the character does get away from you, doesn't they? They just sort of develop minds of their own, and you think, "Oh, hang on a second,
Yes.
that dialogue just means that that person's not that who I thought they were anymore." And it's
Right?
like, "Oh
Yeah.
God, I'll have to add that to their character sheet."
I was a total pantser. I didn't have cork boards or plotting or anything. I just wrote
Hmm.
it. So it just came to me as I wrote.
That's really interesting. You're not the first person to say that. I've had. I can't remember who it was now, and they're probably listening to this and thinking, "Oh my God, John, it was me." But they also don't do a lot of actual plotting per se. They just have the character arc, the story arc, right? They know who the characters are, and they literally just go ahead and do the writing, and they just
Yeah.
let it all flow from there. And yet you
Yeah.
have the other side of the coin where it's like you must plot your character, have a set point of view for them. You must have them interacting at this point with this one. And
Yeah. I think you probably don't have
I
to
would find that
edit as much.
constrictive. Mm,
Right? Yeah. But if
mm,
I learned how to do that, I don't think I would have to edit as much. Because, like
mm,
when you just write and then you read it, you're like, well, that's a plot hole and that doesn't make any sense.
mm.
So I think you have to go
Yeah,
back and fix a lot more when you're a pantser.
right. Okay. So uh, I would you would get classed as sort of organic, wouldn't you? Because it's your world is developing organically. Your characters are developing
Yeah.
organically. You've
Yeah.
not done a top down where it's like, you've decided that you're going to go to the nth degree on everything and you understand where everything's going and you've got a little plan and all you've got to do now is type in your dialogue and everything should be fine. So that's not you, no?
Did not
No.
work that way. The whole
Yeah.
story actually came to me in meditation. So I know like creativity is
Mm.
very different for different people. I have a friend whose book launched yesterday as well. She's a somatic therapist, and she dances. She gets into a trance state while she's dancing, and her whole book came to her while she danced. So I think creativity,
Wow.
everyone's ideas come in different ways, and mine came through meditation. So when I got writer's block, I meditated, and the story came to me. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, sometimes I think you do need to do that. People call it many different things, but meditation or getting yourself into an unbusy state
Yeah.
allows, you know, allows the freedom for your mind to just create, I think,
Yes, absolutely.
allows these
Yeah.
ideas to pop in and, get that done. I think it's a much underrated tool, for
Definitely.
writing. I mean,
Definitely.
look how busy we are in our day-to-day lives. Day to day, you're occupied from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep. And
Yeah,
it does affect your creativity, I think, if you don't give yourself the space
for
to
sure. Yeah,
to
and even just
imagine.
like
You
getting
know,
out in nature. If just going for a walk,
yeah,
like I have a lake just around the corner, so I walk around a lake every day, and I
mm,
focus on the birds and the trees, and that's how my brain opens, and I get a lot
hmm
of ideas while I'm walking, just observing nature and being grateful for nature, and that really helps
mm.
me. Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. It's very calming as well, isn't it?
Yes,
So, you know,
yeah. Get away from the noise of the world.
yes, and it can be noisy. It can be noisy. So, there must have been something you didn't want to do, right? So, and one example would be too much technology. So, did you put a limit on the additional technologies, and how did you decide what that limit would be? Did you just think it matched the story? I'll stop there, or did you consciously think that's too much hand waving? I need to stop that. What did you
Well,
What did
I
you think?
definitely I wanted it to feel like our world now. So, yeah,
Mm,
I did not want to use so much technology that people didn't believe that this was happening very soon to now. That's really
yeah.
bad grammar, isn't it?
No, I'm not the grammar police. Don't worry about me.
But yeah, so I didn't want people to go, well, it's unbelievable because of the technology. I wanted it to be very believable that this could actually happen. So yeah, that's how I put the limits on.
Yeah, that's very good. That's absolutely what I was expecting to hear, really, because it can get fanciful, can't it? And then it turns into, far from being a very near future dystopian thing, it turns into a pulp science fiction-y type thing.
Right. I didn't want hard sci-fi. Yeah, hard sci-fi. I call it sci-fi light.
Yeah. I think that's a great description. So what else can you tell us then, Diana?
The book is available pretty much anywhere books are sold. And I am offering to come to people's book club meetings. If at least 5 members buy the book, I will come via Zoom, or if you're near the Seattle area, I can come in person. Once you're ready and want to discuss the book, because there's a lot to discuss. So you can just email me at hello@DianaColleenAuthor.com.
Brilliant. What I'll do is I'll add some captions to this before I release it, so people will see that, and I'll put it on the show notes as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't as painful as you thought it would be.
No, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I was quite nervous about this one.
Were you? Is that because of my gatekeeper question? Because I do have a gatekeeper question, don't I? And it's like, oh my God. No, I'm pleased you came on, Diana. I think that you've been awesome. And thank you for an insight that you've given into your world building process and the reasons for it, which are absolutely critical. And I'm sure that people who are watching this or listening to this or reading the show notes, which I'll generate as soon as possible, they will appreciate that as well, because they might be looking for similar ideas, hints and tips on how to get their story down. So that's absolutely brilliant. So thank you, Diana.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your, I guess it's evening over there.
It is, yes. It is 21:52 at the moment. So
okay, go to bed.
Get John a coffee using coffee. It'd be dead lush, man. Just go to richardsonsrubicon.com and click on the big coffee thingy. Cheers, Petal.